Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this top-down shooter tutorial. In today's episode, we're going to be adding item pickups. So we're going to be adding two different types of item pickups. One is just going to be your typical power-up pickup that if you run over it, you just get the pickup. And the other one's going to be like an optional sort of pickup, so like a weapon on the floor that you're going to have to press a key in order for the player to pick it up. So we're going to add a new group, call it item pickups. And we're going to also probably just make a couple little sprites just to test out. So if we go into sprites, I might as well add a new group in the sprites as well for items. Item pickups. And then we can add a new sprite. We're going to do two different sprites. One's going to be sprite. We'll do pickup speed boost. So we'll have like a speed boost pickup that gives the player a temporary speed boost. And we'll just give it a picture. Just draw something real sloppy, little placeholder. If you guys can work out what this is supposed to be. Beautiful art. There we are. That's supposed to be a shoe, believe it or not. We're just going to go with that. I'm also going to center. And we're going to keep the collision mask as just auto for now. That's fine. Using a rectangular collision mask. We're going to item pickups. We're going to create a new object for item pickups. The first thing we're going to create is a parent object. So we're going to call it pair pickup collision. And this is going to be the parent for items that we pick up when we just walk into them, hence collision. So when we collide with them, we pick them up. And you can see that we can go, we don't need a sprite for this. We don't really need much at all. We're just going to make a create function. And we're going to add, much like we did, if you guys watched the other tutorial with, which one was it? We added different item types. And we also added different wall types. Actually, it's more similar to the wall types. In the wall types, we have our own function, which we define that gets called whenever you collide with the wall, essentially, or whenever a bullet collides with the wall. We're going to use the same kind of system. We're going to call it something different. So I'm just copy pasting this, but essentially what you write is, I'm using F underscore. This is just a naming convention. It doesn't really matter what you call it, as long as you remember and you don't get confused. I just like this F. So F underscore pickup. And it's going to be a function. And we don't need damage. We're just going to add whoever picks it up, pick upper ID. Is that the right word? Is pick upper a word? Maybe picker is a word. All right, picker ID. So we've got a new function pickup, and we can put in the pickup ID. The reason I'm doing this is in case we want to put in, like, let's say enemies can pick up weapons and stuff like that in our game. Why not? Then we'd be able to put the enemy ID in here. Otherwise, we'd be able to put the player ID in here, and we'll be able to say what behavior occurs in here once the person collides with this pickup object. For now, the actual parent doesn't do anything. This is just a placeholder function. So default, I'll just call this default pickup. We can write no pickup function defined. So this is the default behavior. So if we don't define a function, it will just call this function, and it'll basically just let us know, or give us a debug message saying, yeah, we haven't defined a function in our pickup object. So let's add an object for the speed boost. We'll call this object pickup speed boost. We'll call it that. Why not? Give it our sprite. And we'll give it a parent. The parent pickup collision, because we want it to get picked up when we collide with it. And you can see here it's inherited the event which is just the function. We want to not inherit this. We want to override this and make our own function for it. So you can just copy paste the function out of here, and we can redefine this essentially. So when we pick up, there's a whole bunch of different ways that we could do this. The easiest way to make this give the player speed would be that if we look at our player object, I think we already have a variable defined for bonus speed. Yeah, move speed bonus. So the easiest way to do this would be upon the player hitting this, so if I wanted to reference the player, that will be the picker ID. And we do our picker ID dot, I don't know why it's not coming up, but whatever. Dot mSpeed bonus equals some amount, how much speed we want, so maybe a 5. We can also, if we wanted, we could define our own mSpeed boost or something equals some amount. If that would be, for example, if we wanted the different speed boost pickups to have different values that they could boost, and then we could do like this equals some value, and in here this would be this, and that allows us to change the value dynamically. And it would also allow us in the room editor to essentially, we could have different speed boosts for different speed boost pickups, but I don't know why you would do that, so we're not going to do that to be honest. But if you did want to do that, that's how you do it. You just define a variable for it. So the easiest way to do this would be we set the move speed of the player, and then we also set an alarm. So alarm 0 equals, and then we could put like 60 would be 1 second. So let's just put like 3 seconds. And so what this would do is this sets an alarm. An alarm essentially is just a variable that ticks down 1 every frame. So after 180 frames, it's going to reach 0. And once it reaches 0, it calls the alarm function. So if we go into our player, we can go into alarm 0. And this would be the alarm 0 function. And this would be what gets called. And then we could do mSpeed bonus equals 0. So this would mean that we would get, when we collide with the, we haven't done the collision code yet, but when we collide with our speed boost object, it's going to set our move speed to 5, a bonus move speed, I should say. So we're just going to get 5 extra move speed. And then we're going to set an alarm for 3 seconds that's going to reset. This behavior is good if you want to have picking up multiple pickups. Just refreshes the pickups. So if we pick up multiple speed boost pickups, it refreshes them because it resets this to 5 and it resets the timer. But yeah, this is quite a good system. We're actually not going to use this in our game because I want to do it a little bit differently. But I was just showing you the simpler way. We'll add the collision as well. So if we go into here, we could do it in the step function, similar to how we've done some other collisions with the walls, but I'm just going to use the collision event. It's a bit easier. We might change it later. We'll see. Go to collision, object, item pickups, parent collision. So the reason that you do collision with the parent means if we have multiple different pickups, we don't have to rewrite code. They're all going to be inheriting from the parent, and GameMaker recognizes that we're colliding with the parent if we collide with the child of the parent. So we have here, if we collide with parent pickup collision, we can do, so it'd be other. Other just refers to whatever you're colliding with. Other dot function pickup, it's already there for me. And we're just going to put in our ID to just tell the function what ID or what object is actually doing the collision. And we're also going to, for this, we're also going to make it so that this destroys itself. Instance destroy. So that way when you pick up the speed boost, it disappears. If you wanted to do a respawning speed boost, you would have to do it a little bit differently. You could add a variable like respawned, and then you could make it so that you add a draw function and it only draws the item if it's in the if respawned equals true. And then you could make it when it gets picked up, respawned equals false. And so it will just disappear or no longer be there. And then you also set an alarm inside here that would set it back to true after some amount of time. So let's say you wanted it to come back after 60 seconds. You wanted to reappear in that same spot. You could do that just with that simple system. But we're not going to do that. I think I just want single pickups. And if we have a look, I'm going to make sure that this move speed variable actually does something. I'm not convinced that we made it do anything. No, so it doesn't. So let's just make a new variable in here, total speed. And that's going to be equal to whatever the speed of we should be running with the weapon we're holding. So it'll be weapon.mspeed. And then plus mspeed bonus. So this is our total speed. We're just adding, and if we have any other speeds in our game, we can just add them in here. And then we just change the code here. So instead of using just the weapon speed, we're going to use the total speed. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, awesome. So this should work. I'll just add a few of them into the room. I'm going to have to change the graphics at some point in this game. It's a bit ugly, but that's fine. Nothing wrong with being ugly. Anyone watching at home? I don't know why you wouldn't be watching at home, but you never know. So if I step on this, it should disappear. And yeah, I get a move speed bonus. And you'll see the move speed bonus lasts 3 seconds and then it's gone. So you can do whatever you want. You can change it so it's a bit smoother. Like you can make it so that the move speed bonus decays over time. Yada, yada, yada. You can do a whole bunch of stuff, but we're just going to keep it pretty simple. And you can see picking up the move speed bonus. We get move speed for a short amount of time. I mean, it's a bit sporadic. Realistically, you'd probably want a smaller amount of move speed for a longer amount of time, but that's fine. It's really up to you. It's your game. All right, so that's the first type of pickup. And if we wanted to add different types of pickups, it's super easy. I could duplicate this. So let's say you wanted like a damage boost pickup. You have a damage boost pickup. All you'd have to do is basically just copy this, make sure it's got the pickup collision, change the sprite, change the behavior here. If we have a damage bonus, we can make the player have like a damage bonus variable like that. Yeah, give the player a damage bonus, and we'd have to have a different alarm that it resets the damage bonus. And then we'd have to, when we create our bullet, we would have to change the bullet damage based on the damage bonus. The damage bonus could be, it makes more sense to have damage bonus as like a 2 times multiplier or something like that. So let's just do, if we go into damage bonus, I'll actually add this, why not? We'll add damage bonus really quick, just so you guys can see how you do it. Damage boost. What should this look like? That is the question. Probably something red. Maybe like a crosshair or something. I don't know. Just pretend this looks reasonable. Pretend this doesn't look completely insane. Could be like an anarchy symbol. That's kind of cool. I don't know what anarchy symbol looks like. I think it looks like this or something. Maybe we want anarchy symbol. Maybe we're drawing up like a punk style game. Just pretend that looks like an anarchy symbol. Just pretend I know what an anarchy symbol looks like. We use that. That's makes sense to me. Alright, so we're gonna give it our anarchy symbol thing. It's the damage boost, damage bonus. I'm gonna, instead of using a flat amount, we'll just use 2, which means 2 times damage. And let's make it last a bit longer. 300, that's 300 frames. It's because my game's running at 60 frames per second. 300 frames is, what is that, 5 seconds. Awesome. Object player. We'll do alarm 1. We'll do the same kind of system. We're also going to add damage bonus in here. So this would be damage bonus from pickups. You could also differentiate. Maybe in your game you have like perks. So maybe you would want to differentiate damage bonus pickup or damage bonus perk, and you'd have two different variables. Just because we are going to be resetting this to 0. So obviously, if you have a perk or something, you don't want to be resetting the perk damage to 0. You can also have a list of perks, and it just every frame cycles through the list and adds, so resets the damage every frame. It's also not a bad idea. Either or will work. This way is a little bit more efficient, but it's also probably a little bit more limited than having a list of perks or a list of... I think we'll actually do that, so I might change it as well. I'll show you this way, and then I'll show you the alternate pickup way where we have a list of all the item pickups, and that would be the way you would do it if you wanted pickups to stack. So let's say I wanted speed boost to stack on top of each other, and not reset their timers. So like, let's say a speed boost lasts 10 seconds. Maybe I want to pick up a speed boost, and then 5 seconds later I pick up another speed boost. And then you would have 5 seconds of both speed boosts, and then another 5 seconds of just the final speed boost because the first one timed out. If you want to do that, you would probably use a list system. All right, let's just get this working, this damage bonus. So if we're going to damage bonus, we do alarm 0, damage bonus equals, we're going to put it to 1 because we're going to do a multiplier. So 1, multiplying by 1 equals the same amount. And then we can also show you how you would change the damage of bullets. So we'll have a look. We go just in here where we're setting all the bullet variables. We're going to b dot damage equals, and then we can just multiply the base damage by our, for the time being, we might as well just do this. So it equals b dot damage times damage bonus. That should work. Because when you create the function here, it's running the create function. And inside our create function for our bullet, we're defining a damage value. So that's already defined by this point in the code. And then we're just getting that damage value and multiplying it by whatever the damage bonus that we have on our player is. And that should work. We'll have a look. Okay, I'll add a couple of these pickups. Obviously, the final game will look a little bit more, won't look as disgusting as what we're looking at right now, but, this is the testing grounds, it's fine. So it takes 2 shots to kill. Oh, wait, what the fuck? Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, I shouldn't swear. Forgive me. Damage bonus should be 1 by default because we want damage bonus should be 1 by default because we want to actually deal damage, and it's a multiplier. So now we kill in 2 bullets, but if we pick up this bonus damage, we should kill in 1 bullet, and there it is. Look at that. We're dealing double damage. So and then these still work. They just get resetted. Obviously, we have no way of displaying what perks we currently have. Realistically, you'd probably want like a timer or like a visual thing. Like maybe you want the character to glow red when they got the damage bonus, for example. We can definitely add that. But for now, we're just doing the item pickups. We might add some graphical stuff later. I'll quickly show you guys how to do a weapon pickup. Because we have the weapon swapping, so we might as well have a weapon pickup system. I'm going to add a new sprite. And this sprite is going to be, let's just say sprite, weapon. What are we going to pick up? Pistol. Okay, this is going to look pretty disgusting. We're going to have to change this later. Let's make it a bit smaller so it doesn't look as ridiculous as our other ones. I mean, everything's going to look ridiculous while we're using placeholder stuff. This looks like a pistol. This looks like an ancient pistol. There we go. That's a pistol. Okay. So we got weapon pistol. Middle center it. Did I middle center this one? Yes, I did. And we're going to add a new... We could add a new group as well. Item pickups and then weapons. Weapon pickups. Doesn't have to be inside item pickups. It just... You can organize this however you like. I'm going to do a bit more organizing. It's not very organized right now. But yeah, ideally you have very simple system to get to wherever you want to get to. Like I know item pickups, weapon pickups, like that makes sense to me. And it's not too many layers. You don't want too many layers of folders. All right, so let's do parent. So instead of the pickup collision, we're going to do a new one. We can still use it. We could use the pickup collision if we wanted and then add some check for a value that's clicked. We're not going to do that. We're going to do parent pickup key press. So this is going to be an object that when you press a key, it picks it up. And there's a whole bunch of ways. We're going to do the simplest way for now, and we might change it later. So later on in the tutorial series, I'm going to like rework a few of the different things just to make them a little bit more like how I want them. But you might just want it like this. So because I do have a vision for the project that we're making. It's going to be pretty cool by the end. If the tutorial's finished by now, you can probably click to the end and watch the see the end result. I'll add an end result video on the end of the playlist once it's done. All right. Parent pickup key press. So for this, we're going to do a similar thing as well. We're just going to write a function key press. We'll call it function pickup. It doesn't really matter. We can call it function pickup. Function pickup equals a function. I've messed this up. You don't put brackets here. You just do function pickup as a value, as a variable. It equals the function. And then we have a picker ID. We'll do that. And that's probably going to be the player, unless we make it so enemies. I do want to make it so enemies can pick up weapons. I'm really keen to do the enemy AI. That's probably going to be the more exciting part of the tutorial, in all honesty. We're going to do audio detection for the player, like so they can hear the player walking, and we might add sneaking. We're going to do all kinds of stuff. It's going to be beautiful. And we're going to add, so we're going to add pathfinding as well. So the enemies can run around walls and there's a whole bunch of cool stuff we can do. We can do it so they can shoot through windows intentionally to break them, to walk through, and that kind of stuff. Because a lot of games don't have super good AI, and I think we can do better in this series, to be honest. We can do some really good ones. All right. Anyways, getting distracted. Parent pickup key press. What happens in here? This is when you press the button. We're going to... what are we going to do? Pretty much just change the... We don't do anything in here, actually. It's the parent. What am I on about? Let's add an object. This is all we need for now. Don't need anything. We could show a debug message if we want. We'll do that. I'll just show the same debug message. So if we do have an object that should have a function, it doesn't, we get this kind of like error message for us. Add an object for the pickup. Object pickup pistol, why not? We can call it that. And that one, we just give it the pistol sprite. And then we give it the parent. Item pickups, weapons, parent pickup. Beautiful. And we're going to override the event here, give our own function here. And so what happens when you pick up the pistol? We are going to destroy the pistol off the floor. So I'll just do instance destroy. We'll just do that. We destroy the pistol and we're going to swap the player's weapon. So the pistol, at the moment, we're just going to use the ID that we created in our, you'll see here in our object control when we made the weapon swapping, we have just a list of weapons. So what we can do is, we know the pistol is the second weapon. Later on, we can add, we'll add enums. And basically, that will just stop us from having to use these numbers. But for now, we're just going to use the numbers because, yeah. So we're going to say this is the second thing in the list is the pistol, which is in the second thing in the list is position 1 because the first thing in the list is position 0. So we're just going to get weapon. I'll show you guys how we do this. We do in here. Okay, so before we destroy the object off the floor, we're going to do picker ID dot weapon. So we're going to change the weapon of our picker ID, which is probably the player at this point, and that's going to equal our object control. We're going to get okay, that was not what we wanted to copy. We have a get weapon function, I believe is what we have, and then the ID for now we're just going to put in 1. Which is probably not the smartest way to do it, because you're going to be like, what's this 1? And obviously if we add new weapons and switch them around, it's going to be the wrong weapon that we pick up. So we'll fix that in a bit, probably in a future tutorial. But for now, I'm just trying to get the pickup system working, so we'll just use a 1. All right, so our player's weapon is going to be equal to, and then we're using object control dot get weapon. So we're going to the object control, and we're saying, hey, what weapon is weapon number 1? This function, this object is calling a function, and it's saying, hey, set my player's weapon to whatever's the first thing, not the first thing, whatever's the second thing in the list, which is what's in position 1. And so we go into here, this function gets called, it just returns what's in that spot, and that is a struct. So it returns the struct for the weapon, which is just essentially just has all this information, has the name, reload speed, yada, 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 whatever we set in here. This is how this system's going to work. If you guys do have any questions on how to do like slightly separate systems, or let's say you want to do something that isn't going to work with this system, you need to modify it, please let me know in the comments and I will be your savior. But yeah, for now, we'll just do like this. Function pickup, yada, 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 yada. This should work. Okay, so now we just got to check that the player is actually pressing the pickup button and is essentially near this. So there's a few ways to do it. One is to check for a collision. We might do that for now. The other is to cycle through all of the objects that are parent pickup key press. So we can cycle through all of them, and then we check a distance, and whichever one's the closest to the player, we access. That might be the smarter way to do it. I'll actually do it like that. We'll do it that way. All right. Awesome. So if we go back into our player object, we're going to have to define a new key, which could be weapon. I'll write item pickup key, because maybe we want to be able to pick up other stuff. Item pickup key is E. Cool. Press E to pick stuff up. Simple. And we're going to go into our step function, and we're going to go check what happens when we press the E key. I'm just going to put it at the very bottom here. Doesn't really matter where we put it in the code. I'm just going to write checking item pickup. Am I putting brackets? All right, so this is just where we're going to say, okay, if key, what is the function? Key check pressed, keyboard check pressed, sorry. If keyboard check pressed, and then we call it key, what do we call it? What's our function called? Called item pickup key. Probably smarter to name these key left, key right, key up, key item pickup. That's probably a smarter naming convention. I might switch that between tutorial episodes, Because then you can just start searching, for example, key, and then it will just come up. Whereas if you have the sort of non-consistent part first, then it's a bit harder because you have to, you won't be able to find it from the auto complete. Keyboard check pressed. Awesome. So if we press the item pickup key, we're going to... What would be the best way to do this? All right, so we're going to probably cycle through all of the pickup objects. First, we're going to check that any pickup objects exists. If instance exists. And we're at parent pickup key press. So if we got something that we can pick up, because we might not, then we're going to cycle through them all. And we can do... I might create a temporary variable on the player. There's probably a couple ways to do this. Not sure if this is the best way to do it, but it will work. So we're going to do closest weapon equals -1. Right, null. Pointer null. Yeah, we'll do a null pointer. Or even undefined. I'm not really sure what the difference in null pointer and undefined is, actually, but we'll do undefined. Closest. Is that how we're closest? That's fine. We don't need to declare that in the create event. That's fine. We're just going to declare it before our keyboard check. That's fine. Don't yellow squiggle me, GameMaker. All right. And we're going to do closest weapon dist equals 200. We can do that. So essentially what this is going to do is we're going to, and we put, whatever you put in this number here is going to be the number that we have to surpass. So this is going to be the pickup range. This number that I have here, I can actually just make a new variable called pickup range. This should probably be in the create function, but we'll do it here. Pickup range equals 200. That's a pretty far range, to be honest, but we'll do it. All right, so, and our closest weapon distance, so we can put this in the create function later if we want. Let's just actually do that. We'll chuck it here. Pickup range, 200. All right, and so our closest weapon distance is pickup range. Now, the way this works is that we're going to cycle through all the items that are pick-upable, and if there is an item that's pick-upable that is closer to our object than the current closest thing that's defined, so whatever this value is, it's going to start at the pickup range. If there's something that's 150 units away, then that's going to become the new closest weapon and get stuck in here. And the closest weapon distance is going to change to 150. And we do that, cycle through all the objects. And by the end of cycling through all the objects, all the pickup objects, that is, by the end of cycling through all of them, we're going to have the closest item. It's just a simple script to get the closest thing. There could be, there's probably just a way smarter thing to do this, actually. There probably already is an inbuilt function that does this. Instance nearest. Let's use that. I was going to basically write my own function to do this, but I think there's actually already one that does it. Let's take a look. If no instances of the object exist. Okay, we can use this instead. This is actually way better. Cool. So we have to do if instance exists still, because we don't want it to run this function if there's no instance that exists. It might still work, but does it return a value if there's none? If no instance exists, this function will return no one. Okay, so we actually don't have to do it. Okay, well, GameMaker's made our life easier here. We can just completely remove that. So when we press the key, we write closest pickup equals that. instance nearest, and we'll go from x, y, which is our player's coordinates, to object parent. We want to look for the closest parent pickup key press. That's what we want to look for. Awesome. And then what we're going to do is we're going to check how far that actually is. So we can do point. So we can do, oh, actually, right. We'll make this if you put var at the beginning of a variable, it makes it a local variable. So you can't actually access it outside this little bit of code here, which is going to be useful. So let's write var closest dist. And that's going to equal closest. Yeah, we can do point. We'll use another GameMaker function. Point distance x, y, closest pickup dot x, closest pickup dot y. Awesome. So we're going to get the distance. So what we do is we check for the closest pickup. We actually have to check whether or not that's actually a thing. If closest pickup doesn't equal no one. So if this returns no one, we want to basically do nothing. So we just skip over. We don't have to do anything here. But if it doesn't return no one, which means there is an object that we can pick up. So if there is an object that we can pick up, then we want to get its distance. And then if its distance is smaller or equal to pickup distance, or pickup range, we called it. Okay, awesome. Then we're going to call the function, which will be so closest pickup dot f pickup. If this isn't too confusing. And we're going to give it the player's ID. Okay, so I'll go really quickly over what this is doing. We check for our keyboard press, which is the E button. If we're pressing the E button, then we're going to run this code here, which basically gets the closest object to us that's pick-upable. Then if it exists, if there's no object at all, then we get no one as the closest pickup, and then this code gets skipped. But if it's not no one, which is what this exclamation mark equals means, then we're going to get the distance between our player and that object, check that distance is actually within pickup range, and then if it is, we're going to run the pickup function, which for our pistol, we'll take another look at that, is going to be this function here, that all it does is change the player's weapon, and essentially just grabs it out of the object control get weapon. So we'll try it out. I might actually reduce the pickup distance. 200 is humongous. So we'll make this like 64 is probably a cool number. Make that 64, and we'll chuck a couple pistols down. Hopefully you guys can see them. They're a little bit small. That's fine. We'll see what happens. Ideally, we also drop our weapon on the floor. We'll do that in another tutorial. This tutorial's gone a little bit longer than I would have liked. Also, our game does look pretty disgusting right now, I'll be honest. But, alright, so if I press E, nothing happens. That's good, that's what we want. E, nothing happens. If I go over, okay, Jesus Christ. If I go into the pistol and I press E, boom, it picks the pistol up off the floor. So that works. I press E over here, nothing happens. If I press it E again, it doesn't drop any weapon, but yeah, you can see it picked up that pistol that's there. If we toggle back to our M4A1, and we press E on this, it changes the pistol. We also need to, there's actually one more thing we got to do for our system, which is not just change the player weapon, but also change the player weapon ID. So I'm pretty sure we have a function weapon ID or something like that. Yeah, weapon ID. Okay, we'll use that. And we're just going to change the weapon ID. And that way our player knows which ID we have for our weapon. And we're just going to set that to 1. I might as well set a variable, which is like weapon ID equals 1. So we'll do this for now. Weapon ID equals 1 inside the pistol. And now we can set this to the weapon ID instead of 1. And this is supposed to be the player's weapon ID. So the player's weapon ID equals whatever this weapon ID is, which we can have 1. And this will be all good. Now we have the rifle. We go over here. Click E, picks up the pistol. Absolutely beautiful. Now if I press Q, it should go back to the rifle. It does. Awesome. Okay, so that works perfectly. We also added the damage bonuses and move speed bonuses. And so we've got a few different kinds of item pickups. We got ones that you walk into. Oops, sorry. We got ones that you walk into, and we also got ones that you press E to pick up. And if we have different types of items, it'll always pick up the closest one to the player. In a later video, we're going to highlight whatever the closest one is. So if you're near a stack of items, there'll be a way to tell which one is going to get picked up. Like I'll add a little glow onto the item, but that'll be a little bit in the future, and we'll do another tutorial making our item pickup system a little bit more complete. So if you guys like the video, make sure to drop a like. Also leave a comment. Also just tell me what you'd want to see in this series as well. Haven't really asked that. If anyone's super into it, just let me know what you want to see, because I can add pretty much anything that we want to this game. If there's something that you want in your game and you don't know how to do it, let me know. We can add it. And we're going to really flesh this out as well, which is pretty cool. So we've got a long way to go, but we're probably made the bulk of the progress already. Like there's already a pretty good system here. And yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying the tutorial, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.